Don't let this TV fool you. If you've never seen this very common Samsung Smart TV problem, congratulations for being a lost tenant under a rock. Like most faulty Samsung TVs of this generation, this model has the annoying no picture continuous restart problem.
While most of such cases are due to a faulty screen, this one is completely different. How can you be sure what the root cause is?
Now, the following are 5 easy steps you can take to fix the issue. Step 1. Check the power on indicator. Turn on the TV and note the blinking red LED indicator. If you observe 2 flashes of the LED each time, that would suggest a faulty panel. But don't be quick to draw that conclusion. Now, to be sure it is or isn't a faulty panel problem, take the next 2 steps. Step 2. Power off the TV. Now isolate the panel from the rest of the unit by pulling out the ribbon cable or cables, if it's a model with the twin cables, from the motherboard sockets and power on. If the restarting continues, that's very likely not a faulty screen. However, for added assurance, now take the next step. Step 3. Power off the TV. Have your multimeter set to DC voltage reading and make sure all parts of the TV are connected. With the common probe of the meter on ground, have the positive probe touching the live side of one of the ceramic capacitors on any one of the high voltage rails, usually where you find the biggest capacitors. With the probe on the capacitor, power on and watch the screen of the meter for any voltage spikes. If there's none, you've just double checked that this isn't a faulty display. Bear in mind that if there had been a voltage rise and fall, I would have had to check the panel for possible shorts both on the X and Y axis. But in this case, the root cause probably lies elsewhere. So step 4. This is where you determine if the root cause just might lie within the backlight, as the culprit can also be the backlight LEDs. Because you don't want to leave any stones unturned, you should do this. Simply disconnect the power supply board from the motherboard and power on. If the backlight stays on, you very likely have a perfectly fine backlight or edge light, depending on the design. At step 5, we're left with the main board. Could it also cause the TV to get stuck in a restart loop? Well, note that since the vast majority of these Samsung TVs don't have their T-con circuits on a separate motherboard, on a separate board, when there's a major issue with either the screen or T-con circuits that would normally prompt the T-con power chip to go into protection mode, the motherboard then activates the protection of the entire TV, causing the boot loop. What this means is that you'll have to do more detective work on Samsung TVs than you would with other TV brands. Having come this far, you should now check to be sure that all critical voltage inputs are present on the motherboard socket, the input side, in this case 12 volts and 3.2 volts. Next, check the circuit that powers the display. The power chip is usually surrounded by inductors that perform vital functions while supplying power to other circuits. Check to be sure the chip is powered. 12 volts input should be present on one of the inductors. I noticed that I'm not getting any 12 volt reading in this case. Now, there's usually a fuse on the panel VCC trace that protects both the motherboard and power supply in the event of a short. There must be something here. While 12 volts is present on the input side of the fuse, there is no output. Bam! We've got him. But before going ahead to change the fuse, first check if a possible short blew it. Still, is this blown fuse the reason for the continuous restart? Well, let's see what happens after the fuse is replaced.